Welcome to the Brotherly Ballers podcast with your hosts, Jack Vickers and Tyler Herman.
What up, baller squad? I keep wanting to say pod squad every time. Welcome back for another edition of the Brotherly Ballers podcast. We are coming to you a little bit late this week, so if you panicked and you were like, oh my God, where's my episode? How will I ever make it through the week? Don't worry. We're here for your weekend. So coming in to a little bit of some week 6 preview stuff, fighting through the bye weeks. Some people's seasons might already feel like they're over, but we'll get into that in a little bit. And we're going to bring back another draft segment with a little replacing your car horn action. But before that, Tyler, I have a question for you. I don't even want to know how you're doing because we're getting right into the action. So no, you can tell me how you're doing first.
No, we're good. We're doing the single dad life. So Katie's back in Minnesota.
You?
She left me. Not bad. It only took her like 8 years
Finally,
for her to finally wise up. But no, she's actually up in your neck of the woods. So one of her best friends from high school is getting married. So she's at the wedding actually tonight. So she's having a blast, and I'm sitting here doing a podcast. So she wins.
Oh, some might say it's more fun with me. She probably would be jealous, but. All right, well, I'm going to bring back a random question for you because I heard this one and I thought it was funny. So maybe this will be a short segment or something, but would you rather always, every time you get into an elevator, have to have your back to the elevator, no matter who opens? You can't say a word, you can't do anything, you just have to ride with it, just back open at any point. Or never be able to hold the door open no matter what. So basically you just have to walk in and pretend that you don't know anybody's behind you. You just go boop, boop. You can't do like I see you're coming or whatever. You just have to completely zone in and act like nobody's there. So which one would you be less cringe, awkward having to do every time?
Yeah, I don't really know. I think I would have to go. I honestly initially thought the first one, with always standing to the back, but I'm like, that's so much more awkward than I feel if you're in with somebody. But then again, also if you're not holding the door for somebody and they're able to get in, I'm only going to take the second one because I always have my AirPods in when I walk around at work.
So you can...
And on top of that, I really rarely take the elevator. I usually just take the stairs because I'm only like one floor up. So, But if I had to take the elevator, I'm going to go with the brutally cringy second one and never hold the door, just because I can be like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I didn't even hear you. I had my headphones in.
That's
so
fair.
I'm going that one. I'm going with that one for a fun little caveat.
I'm going to go with the elevator just kind of for your reason, because I don't take it enough for it to matter. But if I did, it's going to be very awkward, but I'm going to feel so bad on the other one. So at least the first one, I'm not like being rude to somebody. And I know even if I knew this going in, I would still have the tendency to like look and see. So the second I saw them and still was like, nope, fuck you. Like it's wherever brutal. I'm going, especially if you're walking to like a restaurant or whatever, you're going up to like the hostess stand or like somewhere that's not where I can keep walking, I'm going to see that person. So I don't want to have, I couldn't do it. So I'm going to elevator and I'm just going to look like a psychopath when they come in there. But
Yep. So. I'm with you. Fair enough.
All right. So those of you, welcome back. We are on YouTube. Subscribe if you haven't already. Please like or comment so we can shout you out each week. We have different segments that we can kind of toss in your questions, thoughts, feedback, whatever on different stuff. So if you want to compete with us on some of our segments we do, that's always fun. But yeah, so that's where to check us out. We are at 130 now, so up.
Yeah, 130. 4? Yeah, we got 4 new ones over the course of the last month, so I appreciate it.
Yeah, we're trying to slowly get to 150. We'll see if we can get there, but I appreciate anybody who's subscribed thus far and is interacting. So great stuff.
Great.
We will just jump right into stuff here. So we've got some crazy stories that we like to do in a segment called
Love it.
Well, it's a segment called This Ish is Bananas.
Oh my lord. I'm sorry, people. I was still on the preview button. Here, let me do this again. So we're just gonna pretend that didn't happen in a segment called Yikes.
There we go. We're off to a great
what is
start,
wrong with
me?
Turns out we're out of routine, clearly.
Yeah, that'll do it. So a few of these are a bit outdated from heading into week 5, so I do apologize, but we're gonna discuss some really quick ones, and I guess Tyler, just give your 2 cents if you have anything, but they're more just Some are fantasy relevant. You can take nuggets from there, and some are just like bananas to hear. So I just like shouting these out each week. So first one, let's see. We did that one already. So I'm going to go into one here. Kareem Hunt just broke 100 rushing yards in his last game here. So 102 rushing yards. They're his most in a game in over 1,400 days. So just right back to it. Ironically, he hasn't done a lot since he left the Chiefs, but he's going right back into things. Kind of a guy who seemed like a pass catcher and now is just putting work in on the ground in a great offense. So weird how that works out.
Yeah, turns out you know the system. You just kind of jump back in, and I'm like, they're like, Carson Steele, you did fine, you're fine. CEH activated, you just sit over there. Just yikes. We're just going to give this guy who's actually talented the ball.
Mm-hmm. Weird how that works out. Number 2, this one made me want to throw up, but Wan'Dale Robinson is currently 3rd in the league in targets.
Oh, I love it. I said it before the season started. I said they can't all go to Malik. He's going to be a PPR monster.
Gross. And the fact that
with
Malik's missing
11
time.
catches a game for 27 yards. He doesn't go anywhere. He catches them all at the line of scrimmage, and he has 6 catches a game for 37 yards.
Yeah. It's bananas.
It
third
is.
one, I had to shout out this guy as like a little dynasty nugget, but I got the guy that I was in on late in dynasty drafts kind of everywhere. Tyrone Tracy, the only running back in the NFL to gain positive yardage on every single run in a game, and that's 15 or more rushes in a game during the entire season this far. So not one running back has done that where they've gained positive yardage every play. So just odd that never happens. But yeah, especially for a guy you wouldn't have thought being like a dominator coming in by any means and behind that terrible Giants offense. So
True.
Let's see. What else were the other ones we had here? Josh Downs, ironically, ranks 1st in the NFL in route win rate, which, again, not a guy you would ever pick. You could give me 20 guesses, and I never would have gotten there. But he's apparently very, very good on routes. I know he was missing the first couple of weeks of the season, but kind of stepping up more than people would have expected with Michael Pittman not getting a lot of the love the last couple of weeks. So Josh Downs, a name to watch. Yeah,
great separator. It'd be interesting. I actually have him a little bit later in one of our suit up and sit downs because Anthony Richardson is back now. So we'll get into a few more details when that comes around. But he'll be an interesting one this week now that A-Rich is back under center.
Yeah. Another one here. This one makes me very sad. But over the past 4 Dallas Cowboys games, CeeDee Lamb 31 targets, Jalen Tolbert 27, CeeDee Lamb 62 points, Jalen Tolbert 54. Why is CeeDee not just getting all the work? So
it's kind of bonkers, but yeah, 100%. Jalen Tolbert needs to be owned if he's not already. Brandon Cook's on the IR for those that haven't seen or heard for some reason. So if he's out there, he's going to be PPR useful for a bit.
Mm-hmm. This one's going to hurt you big time. So Daniel Jones is currently averaging more fantasy points per game than Patrick Mahomes.
That's a big old yikes. Thankfully I was totally out on Mahomes pretty much everywhere this year, but that's still disgusting.
I was just out on like how early he was being in that same tier kind of thing, just because he doesn't run. But obviously I still assumed it'd be like a locked in top 6. So the fact that he's just not even Foster dropped him in our league, in one of our home leagues. He just got dropped to the waivers. I
saw that.
I think is probably just going to be happening in a lot of leagues at this point. Like people will probably hang on to him just because it's the name, but I think it's just kind of one of those where it's like, he's not usable. You can find other options. You can find the Bakers and the Genos and the whoever, like Kirk Cousins. I might start him at this point just off the hot last game,
especially this week.
Yeah. I mean that too, but just going
Carolina
forward,
this week. I couldn't believe he was legitimately droppable. So it's pretty crazy. I think it was the right decision for Foster, and it's easier said than done to drop a name like that when he was your 4th, 5th, 6th round pick. But touche, Foster. So I like it. Moving into the NFL news, and I'm sure Jack's going to jump back in here, just getting something reset for you. Week 5, Vikings took down the Jets 23-17. It was Darnold's worst game of the season so far, no question about that. Got a little bit banged up, but we really relied on our defense. We had 3 picks, the Rip Van Winkle pick 6, and we also had the game-saving red zone interception by Gilmore. Rookie kicker, looking great, 3 for 3, 2 50-yard plus bombs. We just got pressure on Rodgers. Love to see him struggle. we are actually the Vikings. We are the first team to ever go 4-0 in London in international games. So it's great. We go into the bye week 5-0. We're one of those consensus top teams in the NFL. Doesn't feel terribly great just because we've had so many second half collapses. But we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, I'm here, so I'm not really sure what's going on with the video, but we'll keep working on with it. You talked about the Vikings this past game. Obviously, with us going to the bye, do you have any thoughts post bye, or just kind of like what we're going to be focusing on going forward, what you're looking for?
Yeah, I mean, it came at a good time, and I know you mentioned this as well, so I won't take everything here, but we just have some injuries starting to pile up. It's about that time of the season, quarter of the way through, people start to get banged up. Aaron Jones got hurt, obviously. Hawk, we're excited to have him back when he does get back. Darnold got a little bit banged up as well, so it kind of comes at that weird good time where everybody has a chance to get healthy when we're coming to a much tougher stretch of our schedule.
Yep, well said. Is there anything that do you expect what we're doing to continue? Do you expect the defense to continue looking good? I know we've had some kind of weeks where you've started hot and then kind of faltered. Do we think the defense is going to be able to compete at this level going forward? Do we think like Hawkinson's going to be back ready to go once he's actually playing? Is it going to affect our passing game positively, or is he going to just kind of be like a third to fourth option as he gets back up to speed? Like, what are we feeling?
Yeah, I mean, I think he'll take over as the number 2 option, honestly, as soon as he's back and healthy. I think he's just so much of a reliable target and so good at finding that space. I think he'll take over and surpass Addison and kind of that target share and whatnot. So might be a little bit spicy, but because Addison has looked good. But I think once he's back and fully healthy, it's going to take obviously a couple of weeks to knock that rust off. It's been a while, but I think come down the stretch, tail end of the year, he's certainly going to be our probably number 2 guy.
All right, well, fair enough. Yeah, we'll see. I think it was clutch getting this game because I kind of was saying I was expecting us to split the Jets and Lions game. So getting that safe one, even if we lose the Lions, I'm still feeling in pretty good shape. But I think this will be the difference maker of if I believe that we're actually going to contend for the division and like be a real threat long term. I mean, if we can't beat the Lions, I think it's clear that we're still like a wild card team hoping to win one round type of thing, and then probably have it end from there. So I'll be very curious with an extra week of prep what we can do against the kind of high powered Lions on both sides of the ball. So moving into NFL Pick'em, I'm going to let Tyler rattle through things here while I keep trying to adjust stuff.
Yeah, I was going to say, because I was like, I don't have your video, Jack, so I don't know if that's a...
No, I'm still trying to mess with it. I don't know what's going on. The audio's here. It's just camera being dumb. So bear with me.
No worries, you're good. So going into to NFL Pick'em here, we did much better over this last week. So standings through week 5, Mac went to 1-1 this week. So Jack and I actually gained on him. So he's at 7-3 overall. Jack and I are both at 6-4, and then Joe is down at 5-5 along with Nate, also at 5-5. Nick at 4-6, and then we've got Foster at 4-6, and Connor down at the bottom at 2-8. So he's having a struggle bus. He went with San Fran and Seattle to think he was going to get 2 wins against the Giants, and then San Fran against Arizona and went 0-2. So just not a whole lot you can do there if you're him right now. So it's been a tough one, but going into week 6, we got some overlap. A lot of Steelers taking out the Raiders for Jack, myself, Nate, and Mac. Foster and Joe are going to go with the Bengals over the Giants. Connor's going with the Bears. And then some additional ones for us. Jack is going to go with the Falcons over the Panthers. Certainly makes sense. Not a whole lot of good spots for him for the rest of the year. I'm going a little bit spicy. I'm going to take the Titans over the Colts with Richardson coming back. I feel less confident if it would have been Flacco, but Richardson just struggled, and I think off the bye, Titans got a good shot here. And then a lot of Eagles the rest of the way. Nick, Mac, and Foster going with the Eagles over the Browns. Hapless Browns, so that should be a good one for them. If they lose that one, Eagles are in real trouble. Nate going with Houston over the Patriots. Connor going opposite of me. He's going Colts over Titans. And then Joe is up with Jack as the Falcons over the Panthers. So it's pretty tight. Still got a long way to go, but it's going to start getting tougher here as we've started to use some of the better teams.
Yeah, I do feel pretty good last week with us batching, obviously, and getting 2 very bad teams out of the way, because I'm seeing a lot of other people have, half their teams that seem to be playoff guys so far. So trying to continue hanging on there. We'll see. little bit nervous this week, but I think I'm just pulling for the Browns to somehow pull off the Eagles upset. That seems to be the safe one that everybody's picking. And then the Patriots in Houston. I already used Houston, so I was pretty much out on that one, but I don't know. I don't know how to feel. I think that could be like a low scoring gross game, and we'll see. So go everybody else's teams losing.
Yeah, agreed.
Moving into the Minnesota sports side, this one has gone off the rails for me this year, so it's not going super well. I'm just consistently getting 7 or 8 every week and not really making up ground. I just need to start getting spicy with it. So Tyler's at 48, I'm at 42. Tyler's closed the gap with the leader at 51 here, so no one's really like broken out and taken away with it. So he's kind of slowly creeping up. So we'll see if we can continue to make more than half the picks right. That'd be an ideal. Week 6 winners. Currently I have the Bears, the Packers. I have the Titans. We'll talk about them again in a little bit, but Titans at 16% as favorites or underdogs versus the Colts. But
crazy.
They're at home. Indianapolis is missing. Well, not missing now, but a hobbled Anthony Richardson. Jonathan Taylor is out and Pittman is questionable / trying to fight through it. So could be a very, very gross game, but one the Titans could steal. Easy ones with picking the Texans, Bucks, Eagles, and Ravens. Then I've got the Broncos. They're technically the 48% underdog versus the Chargers. I'm pretty split on this one because both teams are rough. So if Herbert truly seems like he's off the injury report and totally healthy, maybe we flip back to the Chargers here. But I think the Broncos have shown what they can do defensively. And Nick's just somehow actually had a good game. So who knows? Going with the Steelers, going with the Lions. Lions and Cowboys are both 3-win teams, so that could be interesting. But I like the Lions and the NFC better. The Falcons, the Bengals, who are 1-4 versus the Giants 2-3. So it's crazy to see them as the worst rated team currently. But I am going with them, and then the Bills to round it off on Monday. So, any thoughts or differences there?
Yeah, kind of crazy, but I went through mine before you put this in here, and I have no differences. I also have the Titans. I also have I know it's and the Broncos at home. I think against the Chargers. Again, I know Chargers are off a bye, but playing in Denver is always brutal. I know even with it being a divisional game, it's always going to be tough. And I just absolutely trust Denver's defense more than I trust the Chargers defense.
Yeah.
They're going to get after Herbert, and if he's hobbled at all and limits that mobility, which is kind of a decent piece for his. And Surtain has been absolutely locked down. And guess what? Who on the Chargers do you have to lock down? He usually shadows, but he didn't this last week. And the Chargers don't have hey, here's our number one, go take him out of the game. So it's going to be hard for them to come by points. So definitely it's hard to do, but I was I'd take the under in this one. And it's at 37. And that seems crazy high.
Gross.
It's gross. Yeah. It's going to be a bad game. It's going to be a low scoring game, not a bad game. If you like defense, you're going to love every bit of it.
Yeah, lots of turnovers and 3-and-outs and boring stuff. So should be a quick game. It will probably be a quick run heavy type of game, and it'll be
agreed
done about a half an hour before the rest of the game is on the slate. So
correct.
All right, going to the underdog pick of the week. Week 5, called it again. I had the Cardinals with the 49ers, and they straight up upset them decently well, too. They had the game kind of handled, or were leading for a good amount of it. So I need to just start actually picking my underdogs. I keep calling them to be close but not win, and most have straight up won. So I've been very lucky on this for putting zero thought and analysis into it. But week 6 is pretty easy. I had this teed up right away, like we talked about earlier. I'm going with the Titans just versus the banged up Colts that already aren't that good to start with. So I think it's also going to be a gross game. I think Levis just needs to not give the game away. He just needs to be a top 28 quarterback for them to win. If he's continues to be the bottom 4, it's probably not going to go well, but I'm not going to be surprised if the Titans win outright. And even if not, still as an underdog, I think it'll be likely that they keep the game close. The only way I believe in it is either if Anthony Richardson actually steps up and is legit. I was originally thinking maybe Flacco has a chance to just keep balling out like he does, but Richardson has to look like something like his former self if he's actually playing. So having no Jonathan Taylor to rely on, I don't really trust Sermon in a second game here. And then with Pittman hurt, you're going to have to focus more on the Alec Pierce, Josh Downs, Adonai type of thing. I just don't know that I believe in that offense. So Tennessee's defense has been decent enough, and I think they're going to run the ball a lot to try to control this. So that is my underdog pick for the week. We'll see if we can keep it pretty much every week consistent here. So moving
Love
into
Titans at home.
Yeah, and the Titans are at home on top of that, so that helps. Moving into the Bomb Squads and Butt Cheeks update. Quick, what do we got there, Tyler?
That was brutal. We played each other in 2 out of our 3 games, and turns out when you're both going for losses, you can't both win. And Jack definitely won, and I definitely lost. So Jack went 0-3. Just
like my first week of the year.
Yeah, I mean, you had 3 winnable games and went 0-3. And so conversely, I went 3-0. Broncos winning, Giants winning, Cardinals winning. Like Cardinals beating San Fran. Come on, you guys are killing me. So I'm now at 7-8 after being whatever that is, 4-8 before that, and was essentially leading it. And now I'm not even close. I think I'm in like 3rd now, and Jack's at 6-9. So
yeah,
hopefully we can get back to semi-normal here in week 6.
No.
Green Bay, Chargers and Broncos, like we talked about, and then Bengals and Cardinals. No, Bengals and Giants. Is it Bengals
and Cardinals? Or no, Bengals and Giants.
Bengals and
Green
Giants.
Bay and Cardinals.
Bengals and Giants. Yeah, Green Bay and the Cardinals. So that'll be Cardinals and Green Bay. I think will be a really good one.
Yeah, and we talked about the Chargers game already. That could be either or, both of them.
Yeah, that'll be a quick
win. My 3 started out the week great. Seattle already lost to San Fran on Thursday. So, I mean, we figured that was the case, but it's nice to see them starting to hit their tougher schedule like I drafted them for. The other 2 are against Pittsburgh and Atlanta. They both should be losses, so I could be looking at a back-to-back week of 0-3, which helps a lot. As Tyler talked about, the teams going for losses all of a sudden is very close. Like 3 of us have six wins, like as the least, and then Tyler's at 7. One of those 3, too, went for wins. They went for good teams, and it's not working out well.
Oh, no. I haven't looked that close.
They will probably fall off. But, me and Walter's both at 6, Tyler at 7. So, I mean, we're right there, kind of all up in the air, which is nice, especially as stuff's starting to shake out. My Raiders already switching quarterbacks, along with the Panthers switching quarterbacks, is a good sign. The Raiders planning to trade Devontae Adams also helps a lot. So, I mean, we're looking at some probably teams that are going to be picking in the top 6 or 7. So, we shall see. Moving into general fantasy talk, we've got another segment.
Just keep swimming, just keep swimming, just keep swimming, swimming, swimming.
Swimming upstream, we're starting to kind of round the corner. We had a couple of weeks now of like both being decent, so that's good. This past week I had Gino go for 22.5 on the Giants. Thankfully, he got some working on the ground, so that helped a lot. Moving me from, looks like QB 17 up to QB 12. So we're into the QB 1 range already. So look at that.
Yeah, and I had Fields going against Dallas. So he did all right. He did streamer territory, 15.6. So that brought me up to 86. Yeah, 86.6 on the year. So that brought me from QB 7 down to QB 11, but still QB 1. And again, I did these calculations after Thursday Night Football since we're recording on Friday this week. So if we take Purdy out, technically we're QB 10 and QB 11 since he's already had his additional game. Gino was ahead of us both, regardless, even if you take out this week. So either way, we would have both moved at one spot. So you could say QB 10, QB 11 for us. So that's all we're looking for in this. We're trying to be essentially let you know you can go late round QB and sub 50% rostered and still have a QB1 on your team and use the rest of your picks for useful players.
Yeah, arguably I would have been doing better if I did this route versus just sticking with Goff for the first 3 weeks. I mean,
not wrong.
All right, week 6 picks. So I get the first pick this one.
Yep.
Technically, the highest projected one on the slate was Daniel Jones on the sub 50%, but I just vow to never ever pick him. He's projected like 18, and yet 4 of his 5 weeks he's had like 11 or less. So I'm just not going to happen. He's missing neighbors. I'm out. I'll let you talk about Goff in a bit. I'm avoiding him just because last week's was the only like real good game, and it was 27, and it was inflated by a receiving touchdown out of nowhere. So I don't know that I still fully trust him. He hurt me too bad in our home league for me to go back to that. But speaking of quarterbacks that also hurt me in that same league, I am going to pick Caleb Williams this week just because they're going against the 32nd best defense in the Jaguars. They're in London. Brutal. Jaguars have given up 2 300-yard and 2 touchdown games in the last 3 weeks. So 2 out of 3 have been pretty explosive in the air. Plus Caleb runs. He's starting to run more. So I think that will help at least for like a safe floor. If he starts to at least kind of look competent like he has the last 2 weeks, I'll feel good for a safe 14-16 type of thing.
Yeah, I definitely would have went that way as well. It seems like he's starting to come into his own, and again, in that matchup, there's not much better that you can do than the Jags. So for me, I'm going to go with the shootout game. So I'm going to go with the Lions. I'm going to go with Jared Goff against Dallas. It's the highest over/under on the slate in a dome. Granted, Goff usually plays worse on the road, but I just got to take it. I got to trust that it's going to be going against one of the worst defenses in the NFL this year. So I'm going to take Goff against Dallas in a shootout game.
Yeah, I don't hate that. That's my next option easily. There's not a lot of better options this week, especially with all the backup quarterbacks.
Agreed.
The Aiden O'Connells of the world. So, all right. Well, now we're going to move into a little ship it or skip it. So it looks like, Tyler, we actually had some fan interaction stuff here. So what do we got for the burning questions?
We did. We got a couple of YouTube comments. So I'll kick the first one over to you. Came from Mac. So Mac is in one of our Dynasty leagues as well, and always good for a comment or two on some of our YouTube videos. So appreciate it, Mac. Baker Mayfield, top 6 QB rest of season.
Oh, I don't know. What is he at now? I mean, I know he had that explosive start, but
that's a fantastic question.
I know he was.
I don't think he's anywhere close to top 6.
Yeah,
he was number 1 after the first week with his 4 touchdowns, but not so much anymore.
Yeah, I think that would be tough for me. I think if you were asking like top 10, that may be more of like a discussion kind of thing, because I think he's going to be a borderline QB1 just with those receiving options and the 2 receiving back playmakers kind of thing. But I don't think he has like the consistent ceiling to be blow up games. I think he's got a pretty good floor. He's probably safe for like a 250 plus and like 2 touchdowns every week, but I just think there's too many other guys. I mean, you put Lamar, Kyler, and Jaden Daniels right off the bat, that's 3. And then we're not talking about like Jalen Hurts, Josh Allen, who have had down years, but I think I still like their ceilings better. So 6 is very tough. I think if you're talking like, is he going to be 10 or 12, that's probably going to be a 50-50 split for me.
Yeah. I'm curious. Just take a guess right now what QB he is.
9.
He is QB 3.
Oh, he stayed up there. I'm surprised.
He has 109. He is 4 points behind Jaden Daniels at 113 for QB2, and Lamar's lapping the field at 124.5.
I'll tell you what, Mac.
Bonkers. I did not expect that.
No, I figured you'd be like 6, 7, 8, 9. Mac, I am now devoting my swimming upstream the rest of the year to catching Baker. I'm determined that wherever he finishes, I will finish above him. That's because I think he's going to kind of start to trickle down a little bit. Mm-hmm. So
yeah, it seems like that offense is just clicking, and their run game with Rachaad White has been brutal, and Bucky, they're just kind of splitting that, so they're just letting him fling the ball. But again, So over the course, I'll keep this one quick, but 29.6 the first, that's obviously a massive start, but 18.8, 8.5, 28.8, 23.4. He's went 4, 1, 1, 2, and 3 touchdowns. So you're not going to throw 4 and 3 touchdowns multiple times a year. You're usually good for 1 or 2, and somebody runs one in. But don't get me wrong, I've said this all the time. Baker loves to fling it around. So he's got 25 plus passing attempts every single game, in a couple games with 47. So yeah, he definitely likes to fling it. Tampa Bay is always going to be there. Top 6 is just really tough when you add in the rushing potential of some of the other ones like Lamar and Jaden. They're always going to stay above Baker. He's okay for a couple of them, but top 6 consistently is always going to be tough. And I think Josh Allen starts to bounce back a little bit because he's been brutal. And I think Kyler starts to jump up there with his rushing ability as well. Top 6 is pretty fringy. I could see 8 to 10 is kind of where I'm at.
Also, I'm expecting his numbers to come down a little bit this week with the Saints because I think that defense is going to taper. I mean, Mike Evans will get kicked out in the second quarter, and then beyond that, it'll just be a low-scoring game. So,
yeah. Happy Mike Evans and Marshawn Lattimore week for those who celebrate.
All right, what else? What do we got here?
The next one for you, I might leave this in your court because really I don't know much about any of these individuals. So Nathan Andrews 7032 on YouTube said, keep trade cut Charlie XCX, Sabrina Carpenter, and Chappelle Rowan. Apologies if I said your name incorrectly. I have no clue who you are, so I feel bad. I don't know who these people are. I know the names. Okay. I don't know who the third person is at all.
Yeah,
like Charlie XCX and I think Sabrina Carpenter are singers.
Correct.
Because I think Charlie XCX, the only reason I know is she sings that boom clap song. That's the only reason I know her.
Yeah.
But I have no clue what she looks like. And Sabrina Carpenter I've seen because you guys have sent me things about Sabrina Carpenter. So I know nothing about them. And so I don't know if you're going off attractiveness or
That's what I was
appearance,
just
or
gonna
if you're
ask.
going
What
off.
am I rating this on?
I don't know.
Nathan
I don't
Andrews,
know.
we need to know, is this music taste? Is this appearance? I think it's probably the same either way, because like you, I have heard the name Chappelle Rowan twice, and I think it was like TikTok stuff, and I think she's recently blowing up, and I don't know her, but I Googled her, and I just not my cup of tea for a person. So she's my cut, whether you're talking music taste because I don't know her, or appearance or whatever.
Fair enough.
Sabrina Carpenter, I know the most of her songs, and I think she's got a good voice. She was recently on Taylor Swift's tour. She was the opener for her, and so has like blown up because of that also. But she's got a few songs out there, and she's pretty famous on TikTok because she does these intros where it's like a 3-line thing in her song that she like tailors to whatever city she's in, and she makes half of them dirty and they're funny and they blow up. So Sabrina Carpenter is my keep just because of that reason. I like her music the most, and she's the most fun to me. And I guess Charlie XCX I will trade because she's also well known, and that's the only one I know beyond that. So sorry, we're not doing your question justice, but that's all I got.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the same thing just because I Googled all three just to know what they look like, and that's all I have to go off of because I've never heard any of their musics. And I'm a blonde guy, adorable. hence my blonde wife, and I think I've only dated blondes my entire life. So I'm going to keep Sabrina, I'm going to trade Charlie XCX, and I'm going to cut Chappelle Rowan because I don't know who she is.
Yeah, I got nothing. Sorry. This one I tossed in quick, the only one that I tossed in, but with the news of the Robert Saleh surprise firing, skip it or ship it that the Jets offense bounces back this, rest of season, if there's a noticeable difference even with him gone and different play calling.
It's kind of crazy. This week we'll see a difference. It seems to be that teams rally around a new head coach for the first week. It's like yes, perfect. We're welcome him to the building. He's the new head coach. We have to win for him. And they seem to have one really good week, and then it kind of slowly tapers off. But again, guess who wasn't calling the plays? Robert Saleh. Guess who is still calling the plays? Nathaniel Hackett. I mean, what a shield Nathaniel Hackett has in Aaron Rodgers. Like, he's the one with the issues here. Robert Saleh is a defensive coach, and guess what? Their defense has been amazing. Their offense has been absolutely atrocious.
Did you hear the report too that that Saleh had either indicated or had gone to have conversations with Hackett that he was having Hackett step down as the play caller, and then shortly later that morning they fired him. Like, I'm sure it wasn't because of that, but it was just like he was literally going to make that change to see if it made any difference, and they're like, doesn't matter, you're gone, you're still going to call the plays. Like,
correct. Like, the only reason Aaron Rodgers is a Jet is because Nathaniel Hackett is there. That's who he wanted to play with. That's who he's wanted to be there. I don't know, and I've never understood his offense. I didn't like it when it was in Green Bay. But those two, he just has so much power. It's absolutely crazy, but it just looks very disjointed. So I watched them blow up this week, and everybody see, totally fine. Just had to get rid of Saleh, and everything will be fine. Just wait a week or two. You'll see something start to get back to disjointed. I hope I'm wrong. I have too much Jets investment with my team, so I hope I'm wrong. I hope it does come back. I love Garrett Wilson. I love Breece Hall. I'm totally for all of those things, but I don't see it just all of a sudden like this is what changes their season around.
I just enjoy hating Rodgers so much and seeing him fail, so I hope it continues to not work because he is the king of just blaming anybody else for not working. Like, every time during the Vikings game, like, he would overthrow somebody by 8 yards and then just be like, I'm like, what are you complaining about? Like, you weren't even close. And the number of times where like two of his interceptions were right to us. It wasn't like somebody broke off a route. It was like he didn't see Van Ginkel and dumped it to him. So I'm like, how? And a couple of weeks ago, he was like, well, we just got to hold people accountable rather than changing my cadence. I'm like, let's hold you accountable. Like, you're playing like crap, and that's not the issue. Like, it has to be the coach. I just don't like the dude. So they do play the Bills this week. So, I mean, it'll be very curious if they do make a statement and win. That's a tough team to beat. But we'll see. All right.
Josh Allen has been playing brutal. It's a very good defense again. So if they can continue to limit Josh Allen, they have a shot. I strongly considered even picking them in Zona, even though it's at home. I strongly considered picking them in Zona just because they're at home. Because it was like 92% to 8% or something crazy when I first looked at it. I'm like, that's too big. Yeah, it is the Bills' name.
All right, what else you got?
Perfect. I didn't have a whole lot this week, so just two more quick ones for you. Ravens Bengals might have been game of the year.
Yeah.
Absolutely game of the year. 41-38. The Ravens should now be favored to win the AFC Championship.
Oh, I mean, it's still tough because they're dealing with their record, right? For me,
3-2.
they probably should be deserved to be favored. I don't believe they'll win it because they still have to find a way to solve the riddle of the Chiefs. Like, they never can do it. The struggle was week one. It happens in the playoffs the last couple of years. They just can't seem to do it. And it's one of those where I'm like, I'm not going to believe it until I see it, that the Chiefs don't win the AFC Championship for the 7th, 8th time in a row, whatever they're going for. So the Ravens, I think, are the better team, and they've been the better team down the stretch the last couple of years, but I just feel like the Chiefs always find a way. So
it's weird, and I agree with you. But again, everyone's like, Lamar wins the MVP, but can't get past the Chiefs. And don't get me wrong, Chiefs defense is phenomenal.
Oh, yeah.
There's no question about that. And that's really what keeps him in these games. Mahomes is not winning these guys' games anymore.
No.
It's his defense keeping him into it, and he's not a game manager. He's obviously better than that. He's a mid-tier quarterback, it seems like, this year. So yeah, it's a tough one, but I'm going to say yes, just because I think this is kind of one of those years they figure it out, and we solve the riddle. Derrick Henry's going to be that difference.
I hope so.
I agree. I don't like the Ravens, but again, I just think they're a better team in my opinion.
Lesser of two evils.
Yeah, true. I don't need to see a 3-peat, 4-peat. That doesn't need to be a thing.
Yeah, I hate dynasties. I've always hated those, so it's totally.
All right, last one for you, and really just with Anthony Richardson coming back too. I think the Colts should have stuck with Joe Flacco here going forward and given Anthony Richardson a little bit more time to be fully healthy.
Yeah, I think if you're talking about just like for the short term, obviously not long term or anything like that, because you got to not roll with an almost 40-year-old quarterback versus hoping Richardson figures it out. But I wouldn't have hated for another week or two. I get that they're kind of like in the fight for your lives, like don't lose too many games where our season's already over kind of thing. But I wouldn't rush him back if he really is your franchise quarterback option and he's already dealt with injury issues. I don't know that I'd be putting him out there and hoping he doesn't take another shot this week. So Flacco was very serviceable and threw the ball a lot, and the offense looks good without Jonathan Taylor. So, I mean, you're missing him again, so you know you're not going to rely on the ground ball. Like, I wouldn't have hated having somebody out there who, A, is 100% healthy, and B, can throw the ball probably better than Anthony Richardson. So,
yeah, I'm with you for, like you said, next 1 to 2 weeks. JT's not out there to protect you. They're going to come after you. And again, Titans defense is very, very good. There's no reason to put your franchise guy out there. Once again, reminder, Anthony Richardson, youngest quarterback in the NFL. Again, that's after this draft class still comes in. I get flip side of that. I heard an argument today for it because this is what triggered me on it. I'm like, still needs to get game reps. Remember, he was a 1-year starter at Florida. He had like 10 games to his name coming in before he was a top pick. So he doesn't have a lot of that game experience. So getting him the reps is certainly a key. It's just a matter of honestly having Anthony Richardson in tells me the Colts are like, we're not in win now mode. That's kind of what it tells me. We don't care what happens. We just want to get him game reps and get him more because he is our franchise. So I get it from that perspective. But again, do it when he's fully healthy. So give him another week or two is my argument.
Give him correct game reps, not reps where he's also having to worry about dealing with playing 80%. So
you don't have any of your stars. No JT to protect you. No Pittman to protect you. It's pretty silly.
Agreed.
All right.
Cool. Well, that wraps that one up. So we're going to move into some suit up or sit down. So this is all basically start sit question, kind of just one guy on their own, not comparing two, but just basically, do you believe in them this week, kind of for what they're projected or what you drafted them to be. And in the future, if you guys want to toss these out for yours, if you're just having what do I do with this guy, or do I put this or this in my flex? This is kind of the spot to comment those and shout those out. So Tyler, what do we got for suit up or sit down?
First and foremost, Jack, we have this.
Suit up. Where's your suit?
That's why. Now sit down and shut up.
Oh my.
Suited up.
In your seat now!
Where's my super suit?
That is incredible.
You're welcome. I thought you would like that.
I'm getting emotional. Oh, we've come so far.
I thought you'd like that. I had some time in the lab today, so we put that together. It only took like an hour and a half to get 12 seconds. No big deal. Turns out editing is very, very difficult. For anybody that would like to come edit for us for absolutely $0.00, please and thank you, because that was very hard to do.
But think of how many times we're going to play that now this season and next season, and eventually those 12 seconds will add up to how much time you spent, and then it's just free profit from there.
Yeah, that's right. But I thought it was pretty good once it was all said and done.
That is incredible. Yeah, if you're not watching on YouTube, go check that out now because that was cool.
Fantastic.
So, who are half a dozen this week that we're debating on? Which shout out last week we had the huge call on the Darnell Mooney. Who blew
that was
up,
good.
So
perfect. So we'll jump in here. 3 running backs, 3 wide receivers for you this week. We'll go relatively quick for you. Ramondre Stevenson just got ruled out earlier today, so a little bit of benefit for us recording on Friday. So Antonio Gibson, the starter, versus Houston, 7th versus running back. So nothing great, nothing terrible. But Mondre out, 6 for 52 last week. Always has some of that receiving prowess in there. Suit him up or sit him down. Antonio Gibson versus Houston this week.
Yeah, this is tough because he just burned me last week in the whole, Ramondre is not going to start. We're going to give Gibson the start. You give him one can snap and then you put Ramondre back in there. But based on this and just based on how the season's gone, I think so many of us are dealing with running back injuries that you're probably not having a lot of other options. And if you've got a guy that's going to clear in a way, get all of the touches, even if it's not in a perfect matchup, I don't hate this. I think Gibson has always, like you said, had a good receiving repertoire. So I think he can be utilized there, especially in a game they're probably going to be down in. So I don't hate it as a flex with probably not a high ceiling, but maybe you get luck into a touchdown. I'm good with suiting him up.
Yeah, I agree with that one.
Suit up!
Next one, Tajay Spears versus Indy this week. 24th versus running backs, 8.1 and 10.9 the last 2 weeks. Granted, he did have a TD last week, so a little bit inflated there. Off the bye week, Tajay Spears versus Indy.
Yeah, the bye week's the tricky part because I feel like that's where you sometimes see all of a sudden the switch happen in a running back share and you get the younger guy involved. I know he's not a rookie, but he's, a year removed from that. So could see something crazy there. I'm very, very high on Tony Pollard this week though. So I think the fact that realistically he only had 4.9 last week doesn't inspire a ton to me. It kind of looks better on paper than it is. So for me, I would probably be trying to find a way to go elsewhere just because I believe Pollard's going to have a good game. And I don't think there's going to be a whole lot of high end scoring either way here. So for me, it's a sit down.
Yep. I'm 100% in agreement with you. I'm on all in on Tony Pollard this week. So sorry, Tajay.
Now sit down and shut up.
Last running back for you, Roshan Johnson versus the Jags, 27th versus running backs, 8.2, 8.6, and 14.5. Granted, 2 weeks ago had a TD, and this last week had 2 TDs. So carries 10 for 25. Very inefficient, but obviously has the goal line work. Roshan Johnson versus Jacksonville this week.
Yeah, Roshan has somehow become one of my mini guys this year because I feel like I talk about him all the time, and it's probably just my hate of Swift. So sorry, Jordan, but I think this is going to be kind of the total opposite of what I just said. Tajay, I didn't want to overvalue based on the touchdown last week, but the fact that we're talking 3 touchdowns in 2 weeks for Roshan, he's getting the groundwork in this offense that's starting to come alive. And Swift has had so many red zone touches and can't finish it. The only time he's ever been able to do it has been with Philadelphia. So I think Swift is a bad goal line back and Roshan is a very good goal line back. And now you're talking about, I talked up Caleb Williams as the streamer option. I don't hate Roshan because I think they're going to be able to move the ball on Jacksonville pretty easily. So he might not have to be efficient. This is more of just a play for me of a put him in as a flex because you're banking on a touchdown kind of thing. And I think it's probably a good chance that it happens. So I am suiting up here.
Very nice. I like it.
Suit up!
Oh. Got a little half suit up for you, Rashawn. That's about how I feel. So I'll give you a half-hearted one. All right, into the receivers here for you. I got a few. Cortland Sutton versus the Chargers. They are 3rd versus wide receivers. We already talked about how much of a heavy ground game this could be, but 10.3, 13.5, 4.2 over the last 3 weeks. 12, 4, 11, 9, and 5 targets.
God, the problem is some of those targets are decent games, but they're, how quality are these targets? They're coming from Bo Nix, and I don't think he's going to have high-end games very often. Cortland is the guy that nobody wants to draft, but you just draft him because you're well, he'll get me 5 points or maybe he'll get a touchdown kind of thing. So I don't want to have to do this if I don't have to. I do, like I said before, I think it's going to be more of a run game, and it's going to be a very gross, low scoring. So I don't know that he gets peppered with targets because the Broncos probably won't be behind early in this game. It'll probably be a 10-7 at half type of thing. So I don't think he'll get the volume that he normally does playing on this bad team. for that reason, I think I'm a sit down. I don't think I'm starting him unless I'm like absolutely desperate.
Yeah, I'm with you, and I thought it was really interesting because I was going through the ESPN rankings as I was looking through some of these people. He's ranked on average 27th, wide receiver 27. I thought that was crazy high. Again, that's essentially wide receiver 2 territory, and I just couldn't get there myself. So
Yeah,
Cortland Sutton,
Suit up.
whoa, that is the wrong one. Let's try this one instead.
Now sit down and shut up.
They're right next to each other, and I saw the S, and I just clicked. But,
just kidding. Put him in. Yeah, no.
Just kidding. Go get him. All right. Next one for you. Josh Downs versus Tennessee. Number 1 versus wide receiver. We talked about it a little bit earlier. Anthony Richardson back in the game. Josh Downs, his 1 week that he played with Anthony Richardson, full snap count, 3.7. The ones he played with Flacco, 18.2 and 11.4. With Anthony Richardson back, are you trusting Josh Downs to still get that work?
I don't trust Anthony Richardson personally. Yeah, Downs was going to be one of my like targets this week, like in DFS or like a waiver kind of guy if Flacco was playing. But the fact that Richardson's in, I just think it's like a tale of two cities where you can't start him with him and you have to start him with Flacco. So I'm out. I think again, it's just going to be more of a running game type of thing where they're going to be focused. And I don't think the Colts are going to do a whole lot, period. Also, I believe if I'm right, Josh Downs is questionable coming into the game too. He's hobbled also. So, I mean, if we knew Pittman was out and he was starting healthy, that's a different story. But like, there's a lot of question marks on that offense. So I'm probably out here. But I don't hate like the Alec Pierce or Adonai Mitchell if the first two miss. So,
yeah, agreed. I'm 100% with you. It's so hard with the quarterback change. You don't really want to go into it with total uncertainty. And Anthony Richardson is not like, hey, I'm going to throw this short out, because he instead just scrambles. And Joe Flacco is like, hey, I'll throw the short out to Josh Downs. And so he's a slot guy. He's got lower ADOT. Flacco's going to pepper that under, and Anthony Richardson is just going to say, I'm going to tuck it and run instead. So sorry, Josh Downs, my UNC boy. I love you as well, but
Now sit down and shut up.
all right. 2 more quick ones for you.
Okay.
Ladd McConkey versus Denver. I know he's kind of one of your boys, obviously one of mine as well. Their second versus receivers. That's mostly a product of Patrick Surtain being potentially the lockiest lockdown corner that ever locked down. Absolute stud. But low over-under game. We've talked about it a couple different times now. Very run-heavy, likely game. But McConkey versus Denver. What do you think?
yeah, this one I'm torn because, like you talked about Surtain earlier, I'm curious what they're going to do in this game because he's like they don't really have an alpha receiver, and McConkey's a lot more in the slot and across the middle. Like,
exactly.
Is Surtain going to really travel with him? I don't see
I don't
that.
think so.
So I think like it's going to be the byproduct of like the leading receiver coming into the game isn't necessarily blanketed out by him. So for that reason, I'm a little bit more contrarian on this, but I'm actually okay with McConkey this week. He's, spoiler alert for a preview, he's very cheap in DFS, and I think he's probably going to get targeted a lot. So whether, I mean, if Patrick blanks him and covers him the entire game, this is different, but you're probably not hoping for a high ceiling, but I'm okay with like the probably decent floor this week with McConkey, who's already had like a 25% plus target share. So I don't hate it.
Yeah, I'm with you. I don't think Surtain travels into the slot as often. He's usually an outside receiver. So, yeah, I'm with you.
Suit up!
He'll probably like blanket out Quentin Johnston, just waiting for like the deep ball touchdown kind of thing. That's probably what's going to happen instead.
Could be. Last one for you. Dontavian Wicks versus Arizona. Great matchup. 16th against wide receiver. So had a dud last week, but was obviously absolutely stellar the week before that. And so for this one, Christian Watson is back in practice, even with that high ankle sprain. I don't know how he's doing it. But for this, we'll say Watson's out, because I do think he'll sit out at least one more week. So Dontavian Wicks versus the Cardinals.
Yeah, Watson out, and then the whole Romeo Doubs issue about him like choosing not to show up to practice and being suspended by the team. I mean, that pretty much just brings it down to just him and Jaden Reed. So I don't hate this. I think Wicks was a big letdown to a lot of people, myself included, in DFS last week, where he had those insane targets versus the Vikings and then did nothing last week. But the Cardinals defense can be thrown on, and they also put up points. So I think Love and the Packers will have to keep throwing to do this. This is going to be a very, maybe not Josh Jacobs 30 carries type of game. So I don't hate it. He's probably like a low ceiling flex for me, but I think just based on the other receivers being eliminated at this point in the Packers game, I think Wicks could have a decent bounce back here. Probably in between those two last games, like somewhere kind of in the middle.
Yeah, I'd agree. It's going to be one of those games. He's got to work on his drops is the big thing. So he seems to be a dropper, which is unfortunate. But I think he's got a bounce back game in him. So Dontavian Wicks.
Suit up.
Sweet. There's our suit up or sit down. So yeah, let us know next week if you got any more burning questions as buys continue to happen and injuries and all that stuff. So now we're going to move into our league specific insights, just kind of like a brief recap of how we're doing.
Yeah, for me, mine was pretty straightforward. I think I lost in every single league except for our normal league of record. So I think I went like 3-8 across my, 11 leagues or something like that. So it was, I'll take it. I'm glad to win in the one that we had truly go for the most bragging rights. So I've got no issue with that. So I thoroughly enjoyed that. But losing in the rest of them is never fun. I've got higher money leagues than that one, but sometimes the bragging rights just feel better. So I won in that one, and I'm in first. So hopefully that continues. And so now I'll let Jack do his rant on his side.
I genuinely every week I think I talk to Tyler about just anger, and I feel like I'm cursed in this league because last year we went through it and like 5 of my top 7 picks all got hurt. Didn't bust, they all just got hurt. Same thing this year. I talked about like last week I was missing picks 2, 3, 4, 6, and 8. I came down to Monday Night Football in that league of record, and it was going to be everybody else was locked in because we have the median game. I was going to either beat my opponent and also have the 6th highest score, so I go 2-0, or I was going to lose and have the 7th score and go 0-2. And guess which one I did? Thank you, Harrison Butker. So 0-2, still continuing to be like top 4 in points scored in the league, and I'm like 3-9 or whatever it is. It's just a disaster. I have far and away the most points against, so I'm just angry, and it's all injuries. That's the entire problem. And then this week, I started off with Thursday Night Football, Gino having his worst game of the season, and Jordan Mason missing 3/4 of the game after a great start. So literally everything that's going wrong he's now got an AC sprain, they've already confirmed. So day to day, week to week, who knows? It won't matter because I'm not going to have a full lineup to roll out next week. Last week, my whole bench was either buys or injuries. Like I don't know what to do. I feel like every year I do poorly in this league, but every year it's out of my hands. It's not just like, oh, that first round pick really busted this year and I thought he would do good. Like, no, it's just, I just lose my team and I have nothing to do with it. So I'm a broken man. And the other 2 ones of note, I at least took down Tyler, who was undefeated in the Zona Sports group. So that was a small bragging right. Tyler, half of his team was either injured or on bye, and I'm dealing with the same thing. So I kind of needed that to stay alive. So that's cool. I was undefeated in best ball, and I lost my first week, but only by like 15 points. And I had no quarterbacks because both my quarterbacks have the same bye week, which I did on purpose. Oops. So that's another story. Yeah. So yeah, I am undefeated in weeks where I have a quarterback in best ball. So we'll see how that keeps going.
Nice. I think I lost by less than a point.
Yeah. And now you and I play each other this week, and I think we're like 2nd and 3rd. So yeah. Lovely. So we'll see how that goes. Anyways, cool. Moving into some gilly stuff. So we won't go over anything like guillotine wise as far as what you would do on bidding for the top most cut players because they're already added. But few ones of note. We talked about Jordan Mason. Breece Hall had a rough game last week. Dalton Kincaid, Malik Neighbors, obviously being hurt. Makes sense he would be cut on teams. George Pickens, Aaron Jones with the injury, Marvin Harrison Jr., Devon Achane, just continuing to be tough to start him despite the explosiveness with the Dolphins offense. Chris Olave, and then Deebo Samuel. So, I mean, not a whole lot to go into as far as like what to do with those players. But do you have any thoughts with this coming week or like next week, what to look ahead on for like early bids?
Yeah, I mean, I think we've talked about it a couple times. You almost have to look a week or 2 out and really see who's going to be on bye. If you got that quarterback that's coming up on bye, go find somebody out there on the waiver wire that's going to be available a week or 2 early. For guys like these, it's so much team context, so it's really hard to say. If you have one of those top teams, just roll it out. Just keep riding it out. Don't worry about it. You don't have to get really any of these guys. If you're a top 7 scorer, now that, again, remember, most of these started with 18 teams, 17, 18 teams, whatever it is. If you're in that top score, don't worry about getting somebody. That person is likely going to come back around. But again, if you're at the tail end, if you're 13th, 14th, 15th, make that big move. You can't take the money with you. So again, so much of it is team context. If you find that weekly, I can plug this guy in and start him forever, 100%. Go ahead and go for it. But if you're somewhere in the top, even 50% of your scores, I really wouldn't worry about it. Just hoard that money. It's so important at the end.
Speaking of can't take the money with you, the guy who got cut in our league last week had $1,000 left, which I love to see. Get all that cash out of the way so I can bully people later if I make it. So my biggest thing too, is like, are you a bottom scorer every week, like even pre-buys? Because if you're just like team isn't working out, you got to make some moves to fix everything long term. If you were rough the last week or two because of a short-term injury, like a guy like a Malik Neighbors who's going to be coming back in a week or two, and you're like, oh, my receivers suck and I've been a bottom 3 scorer the last 2 weeks. Well, that's going to fix itself when you add this guy next week. So like you don't need to go out and buy somebody big. You just maybe got to get like a $15-$20 guy to plug in as like a 1 week matchup play. So like be aware of what your issue is. Is it a lot of my guys run by, a lot of my guys were hurt and they're going to come back? Then don't worry about it as much. Just try to like do a plug and play. But if it's just a straight up, my team sucks and I drafted poorly, you got to make some big moves. So Tyler talked about with like buys this week, obviously the Chiefs, Rams, Dolphins, and Vikings all on buy. So that's some notable players. So hopefully you've already made some plans, because if not, it's Friday and it's probably too late now. But next week to look ahead, there are only 2 teams on buy, with the Bears and the Cowboys. So I mean, if you're a CeeDee Lamb owner, if you're no one on the Bears is really that relevant. I mean,
come on, Swift has been great in PPR.
I mean, Swift is probably not your top running back guy, but if you're him, I mean, I'm rolling out Odunze in a flex, Cole Kmet maybe, and you need to find a tight end option. It's a tough week for tight ends. Kmet and Ferguson have both been decent, so one of those guys, maybe start making some plans now. Maybe try to pick somebody up on like Saturday or Sunday morning ahead of that preemptively to kind of plug in your gap if there's somebody still out there. But start to kind of try to look like a week or 2 weeks out at least. And then really quick, just running it out with a couple of big notable bids in our league this past week. I got nobody. I underbid on everyone, which like I was like, I feel good. All my teams healthy and like playing this week, no buy issues, so I'm not going to really go hard. But a few guys, Olave went for 152. He feels like he's kind of disappointed every week. I don't hate that for the value of what he should be. I just would like to see him do it. Devontae for 122, breaking 100 was kind of surprising to me, because it feels again like you're paying on the name when he's basically holding out until he hopefully gets traded in a week or two, maybe longer. Aaron
out
Jones
this week.
Aaron Jones 109. Obviously we're on bye, and then he's got the injury. You hope he's healthy the week after, but he's another one where it's like, I don't know that I'd be buying big on a running back that I might not get to play for 2 weeks. Like you could probably get him next week from the other owner who picked him up that can't use him and gets cut. So I don't hate it for when he's active. It's just you better feel good about your team in the meantime. Khalil Shakir went for 102. I mean, he seems to be the guy in Buffalo when he's healthy. So I was
like also hurt. Likely misses this week.
Yeah, so a lot of guys that people I kind of just think are buying, and it's tough with the injuries, so you never know. And then Mark Andrews, I had to put that in here, but he went for $1. Somebody still believes, but I think he's been on the cut team like 3 weeks out of 5 so far, so he might be the curse.
Yeah, that's a tough one. Yeah, that's brutal. We'll see. And again, Olave too. Remember, Derek Carr's hurt now. He's going to be out for a while. Spencer Rattler is the starter. He was a stud in college. People forget he was legitimately a Heisman contender, and then all of a sudden had to move teams, and moved teams, and then got beat out, and just were like, this guy's the best, and they're like, actually he's third string. So we don't really know what's going to come out of it. But he did come out and say, like first presser, he was like, Chris Olave, if he's on the field, I'm throwing him the ball. So maybe you just get by on pure volume. So that was literally his first press conference. He said, Olave, if he's on the field, he's the guy I'm looking to get the ball to. Like,
good. Stop making
Shaheed
the number one. Yeah. All right. Moving into, we're going to skip that segment. So we'll just keep, I hate it so
all
much.
Is right in the world.
Yeah. We fixed it after that 1 week. I thought I had some good karma after doing 3 shots in a night, but DFS Faceoff, weekly one for me and Tyler bragging rights, aka the segment where I will be an alcoholic by the end of the season. So, head-to-head results, it's 4 for Tyler and 1 for me. It basically is 6 for Tyler because I like tripled up that 1 week. That was bad. Week 5, again, this is what happens every other week though. I'm just close and slightly lose based on one positional matchup. So, 128.1 to 110.5. The Purdy Debo stack completely flopped. It did mostly flop. I was expecting way
Purdy
more.
Was okay. He had like 17. But Debo had 4.
He was like picked as one of like the top 3 quarterback targets of the week. Like
true
salary buster, whatever. Yeah. And then you had the Jordan Love, Jaden Reed stack. I had Dontavian Wicks in my lineup, and it only went to Reed, so that didn't help. Yeah. And then I really thought Kyron was not going to do as well as he continued to do, and Kenneth Walker did not help me out as much. So
Yeah, as far as the guys that I mentioned last week of who to consider starting, I will let Tyler talk about it while I do a little bit. I'm switching it up every week. I'm showing my collection, but a little Crown Apple.
Oh, baby, the
action,
crapple.
so,
That's some good stuff right there. So
mixing and chasing with my peach Bush Light.
Not a boy. Double it up. No, there's a couple good ones, a couple flops, but honestly, mostly good. So first one, we talked about Geno Smith, 22.5. You got to love that. A lot of this is going to come down to salary basis, right? It's like 22.5 for a guy who costs $5,000 compared to a guy who costs $7,000 is very different. But somebody like Trey Sermon absolutely demolished. 18.3. Swift was pretty well owned as well and not very expensive. He put up 20. McLaurin and Pittman, both serviceable. Another couple individuals we talked with like 14 and 11. But then Deontay Johnson had kind of a flop game. So we did all right. But going into week 6, a few targets from Jack. Fields versus the Raiders. I mean, doesn't again get much better than that. 5,800. Just got beat up by Knicks, ranks outside the top 10 versus QBs. Jordan Love, we talked about it. It's going to be a high scoring game in my opinion versus the Cardinals, 6,600. Or you can always go down Kirk Cousins versus Carolina. Very pass funnel defense. He might be my target for this week. Again, he had 4 touchdowns last week. He's going to be a dude. Going into running backs, Pollard, we again talked about it earlier, so I won't belabor it too much, but only 6,000 against the Colts. He's exceeded his salary in 3 out of 4 games this week, and Colts just made Tank Bigsby look like an absolute stud, so we'll see how that goes. London, you could stack with Cousins against the Panthers, always looking great. McConkey, Jack talked about him earlier against Denver, just going to get away from Surtain. And then Jake Ferguson, I think, is a great bet from you as well, Jack, against the Lions. 7+ targets, 6.3 catches, 71 yards per game. There's not really a number 2 established there beyond CD. Jalen Tolbert obviously had an okay game, but Ferguson is 100%. He was my guy coming into the year, my guy, and I think he's an absolute stud and going to be the number 2 target earner by the end of the year on that team.
Yeah, there we go. I don't have much else to add on that. So, Tyler, please don't copy my team and then switch out the one player that you need to win. That's all I ask.
Perfect. That's what I'm here for. I can do that.
All right. A little quick Dynasty download. I'll keep this fast. We'll get into any trade discussion next week in like 4 days. But I've got 2 keep trade cuts for you that we like to do every single week on Dynasty download, just kind of gauge Dynasty players' values as we go. So some high-end ones here, but the aforementioned Kyren Williams and Kenneth Walker III, as well as Jaden Reed. So we're doing a half PPR, pretty much all guys that are, RB wide receiver 2s at this point. So what would you keep, trade, and cut?
For me, this is a tough one. My default tends to be in Dynasty to lean wide receiver versus running back, just because, again, there's so much more easily replaceable. And for reference, for those that don't know, Kyren is 24. Kenneth Walker is 24, and Jaden Reed is 24. So for everybody's the exact same age. It's literally 24, 24.1, and 24.2. And I think Jaden's the 24.1 right in the middle. So he seems to be, in my opinion, somebody who is establishing himself as like a top 18 wide receiver in the NFL. So for me, I'm keeping Jaden, as crazy as that sounds, compared to these 3, or with these 3, just because, again, I think running back is so much more easily replaceable. Got 2nd round draft capital. And I love Kyren Williams as well. He's going to be my trade just because I think he has the most name value right now. I think Jaden's up there, but I think you could get a lot for Kyren right now as well. And again, he's a 5th round pick, so it's not. They also have Blake Corum there that they just drafted, so it's not like they're completely committed to Kyren. And same with Kenneth Walker. He's going to be my cut, but they've got Charbonnet there as well. So I just think there's a lot more competition for the other 2 and at the running back position in a dynasty versus Jaden Reed, who has clearly established himself as Jordan Love's favorite target. So I'm going to keep Jaden. I'm going to trade Kyren, and I'm going to cut Kenneth Walker.
Yeah, I don't hate that. I won't really say anything else much about it. The only thing I'll say is I feel like the Kyren, Kenneth Walker, and like Travis Etienne are all in the same tier for me, where they're all very good right now. They're all like still young running back wise, but like
not far out from that second contract, kind of like what happens. And all three of them either have a highly drafted backup or a competent backup. With the Tank Bigsby now, Charbonnet, like you talked about, and Corum, they just drafted early to, presumably eventually have a plan. So all three of them kind of feel like they're really good right now, but like it wouldn't surprise me if all of a sudden a year from now we're starting to shift more to like a split, or they're not the long-term plan. So I don't hate capitalizing on either of those. I'd probably be okay with trading either of the two running backs in that point. And then the other threesome I have for you, three rookies that apparently we weren't high enough on coming into Dynasty rookie drafts. Obviously, everybody talked about Marvin Harrison and Malik Neighbors. People even had Worthy above some of these other guys too, but Caleb Williams was also the quarterback one. So we're talking Jaden Daniels at quarterback, Brian Thomas from the Jags, and then Brock Bowers, who everybody was like scared to take because the Raiders have too many other options. They already have a tight end and blah, blah, blah. So I say, again, half PPR. All three of them are literally back-to-back in Dynasty valuation across all positions. One quarterback league also.
Yeah. That one's really tough for me as well. I think in Dynasty world, it's so hard to, if when you go through your Dynasty startup draft, if you don't have a good quarterback, I know it's 1 QB leagues, but it's really hard sometimes because if you don't get even like a mid-tier guy, people start taking those second QBs, and all of a sudden you're scrambling for the rest of a dynasty to get a guy like a Jaden Daniels. So just because of that, as much as I don't want to keep a quarterback, I'm going to, just because he has showed so much as a difference maker with his legs and his accuracy as well. So the Commanders have surprised. So I'm going to keep Jaden. I think I'm going to trade Bowers, and I think I'm going to cut Brian Thomas. I've never really been a big Trevor Lawrence believer. I love Brian Thomas, but I think, again, position scarcity, and somebody like Brock Bowers, he's going to be the number one tight end. He's looked the part, and he's going to essentially play what we thought Kyle Pitts was. He's going to be the receiver. He's going to be the number one receiver for the Raiders. So I could flip-flop either of those two. I almost went Bowers keep, but I'm going to keep Jaden just because he looks like a crazy, crazy generational guy, similar to like a Lamar world. I'm going to trade Bowers, and I'm going to cut Brian Thomas. But I don't feel great about it. Those are all very close.
You're going to cut the wide receiver 9 on the season? Oh, yeah, no.
He's just more
Brian
big
Thomas
play guy
too.
For me.
Yeah, I'm cutting him just because the consistency's not there. I do believe in him now, and I was definitely wrong in the preseason like dynasty rankings on that because I had McConkey above him, and then I think I still had him above Worthy, but they were in a tier below.
It was close.
Now I think I might take Brian Thomas over Odunze, just how like that situation's looking. So like it's in that realm to me. So I do believe in him, but I believe in him the least of the three. For me, I think I am keeping Bowers just because you talked about the same thing for the quarterback in 1 quarterback leagues. I'm doing the same argument for a onesie position with tight end. I just think like it's clear, like they're going to move on from Devontae. They're eventually going to probably either go get a big time quarterback or draft one early and pair him with Bowers for possibly his whole career. So, I mean, Bowers already seems like that guy. They drafted a tight end a year before and they don't care. They're using Bowers everywhere. So I just think like he's going to have the consistency and safety. And it probably could be, depends on everybody's opinion, but I think you could get more value, or like the hype is higher on Jaden right now because he's also playing at like an MVP level real NFL. So I think you could maybe get more for him, where I think the position scarcity at the top is even smaller for tight end than quarterback. But again, it's kind of a coin flip depending on preference. So for all the same reasons you said, I'm just doing the trade Jaden and keep Bowers.
Yep.
So
yeah, I don't hate it.
That's that. All right. Not going to worry about add or drop it like it's hot this week because it's Friday and waivers already ran. So we can rattle through the notable injuries quick. So I'll do running backs and tight ends, and then Tyler can tell you on quarterbacks and receivers. So Jonathan Taylor, we mentioned for the Colts, is out. CMC, quick updates on news. They're hoping for early November, it sounds like. He can't even come back until late October, so they're banking on early November, so he's still got a good 4-ish weeks or so. Joe Mixon sounds like he's going to play. He's trending towards it. We said the same thing last week, but he did practice on Friday today, so with his ankle, we hope he's back again. And then James Cook, foot/toe, sounds like turf toe. Monday night, so he's got an extra day. So, I mean, we'll see. I wouldn't bank on him. I would find another option this week because you don't want to get stuck with that situation. And it's the Jets, so it's not a great situation. And then really the only one with tight ends, we got Taysom, another chest injury. So day to day.
Yep. And Taysom just got officially ruled out about an hour ago, so
there you go.
He is also out. But flipping over to QB, Anthony Richardson back to full practice. So they said he's going to come back to starting this week, and then they also said Russ is ready to go. Remember when they said he was going to be the starter when he's ready to go? No, he's the number 2. Fields is starting, and Russ is the backup. Weird. Rashid Rice, we finally got some clarity for at least a redraft. He had LCL surgery, which is, again, in the knee, but unfortunate. But he's done for redraft. It's a 4-month recovery timetable, so he is droppable in redraft. Christian Watson, high ankle sprain, but it was a mild high ankle sprain, whatever that means. He's progressing, so he may play, but I expect him to not play for one more week. And then Cooper Kupp is returning a week 7 target, according to McVay. So might be week 8, but I thought that was pretty quick for a turnaround. And again, no update on Puka. He's still expected out at least another 3 to 4 weeks. And then last one, Khalid Shakir. Again, Monday Night Football. You probably have a better option anyway, but I would definitely pivot and not wait for him, expecting to have him on Monday night.
Love it. All right. Wrapping things up, we going to do our draft quick, or do you want to punt it towards next week again?
Sure. We can go quickly with it. We'll stick to like 4.
Perfect. I'll rattle through everything. So last week's best fictional football players, 2 weeks ago actually, I took the Facebook vote home. Katie finally voted for me, yay! And then Tyler won the Reddit
called
score.
that.
Yeah, finally. I just need to find her favorite movies and favorite players, and we're good to go.
Yep.
Tyler takes the Reddit crown, so I got the 3-0 on the official friends vote, and then Tyler's got the 1-1 tie now on the Reddit vote. So this week, we announced it, but we're going to do noises to replace your car horn with. And to clarify, this is noises. It's not a song with lyrics. It's not a quote. It's not anything words. It's just a noise. So take that what you will. Another week, another draft where I have the first pick and I don't want to have it. So none of these are in order.
Yeah, I don't either. I'm still pulling up my list.
So
you take your time.
Good. Great. God, I don't know. There's a fine line between like, do I just go with most annoying noises or do I go with like cool noises? So I am going to start things out with, God, I don't even know. I'm going to go with the Yoshi tongue noise, the meow. So that's
man, I interesting. Yeah, I feel like I went such an opposite way already with what you just said compared to like where my brain thought, because I was like, it's still a car horn. Like I still needed to be annoying to other individuals, or at least somehow
that's fair.
So I mean, the first one I thought of was I'm gonna adjust mine and I'm gonna go with a police siren. Somebody's paying attention as soon as I hit that, and I'm gonna go with a police siren.
Yeah, that was one of them.
And then for my other one, I'm gonna go with a train horn, because again, if you hear a train horn going off, first off, incredibly loud, incredibly annoying. So, but I'm definitely gonna get whoever's attention that is in my way. So, give me the police siren and give me the train horn. Tyler's
going for you're gonna notice me, and I'm just going for like cool that I'm gonna appreciate and one's gonna hear. So
I was like, that's what a horn is for, is to say pay attention.
I'm just doing it for, I think it's cool. I don't use my horn that much anyway. So if I can just do like,
I don't use my
like
horn
somebody's
ever.
crosswalking in front of me, I can just go. Yeah.
Katie's the reach over and hit my horn.
All right, I got 2. So yeah. One of mine, I'm just going to combat yours with a little bit for some noise here. I'm going to do I know it from like when you're doing power hours and stuff, but the like trap music air horn, the pew, 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 that noise, because it's loud and gets everybody's attention and it's annoying. So that one I'm going to go with first. And then, This one, it's more of a reference too. So I guess technically it's somebody, a person is making this noise. So you'll have to let me know if this is allowed. But from Dumb and Dumber, if you want to hear the most annoying sound in the world,
that was mine.
That
was mine.
Screech.
That was literally my next one.
Would love to have the few words ahead of it, like the beep. You want to hear the most annoying sound in the world, but I'm just taking the screech noise just to get attention.
So good. No, I love it. That was literally my next one too. I just didn't think you would have thought about that on your list. So I should have went with that one too.
I added it today because I was like, oh, this would be annoying.
Nice. That's yeah, that was my perfect one. So just because nobody else will know it, Jack, but I know you will thoroughly enjoy this. Give me the Auga horn from The Mask, old school Jim Carrey.
Yeah, that's good.
I think
Yes.
that's exactly what I'm going for. I love that one. And then for my last one, give me like a T-Rex roar. Give me a Jurassic Park T-Rex roar.
Loud. I like that. I'm split between two. I think I just went nostalgia. I went just like things I like. Okay, this one's a question for you because this was that one I was wondering.
Sure.
Where, like, is this a song or is it a sound thing? I had on my list the Pokemon like battle, like the just that, but that seems more like
I like
a song.
it. You can have that. You can definitely have that if you want.
Pokemon battle, because I feel like that would be appropriate if like somebody cuts me off and I can immediately just go like, all right, we're battling now.
Just
Get out of your car.
Pokemon battle. I like that.
So that's what I'm going to end it with. Did you have any other fun ones on your list?
The only other one I had on my list, I think, was cowbell. I had a cowbell on there. That would be fun.
That would be good.
So just play the Will Smith, just cowbell, just constant.
I thought about the Mario coin noise, but then I pivoted off of that when you were talking about the Yoshi not being able to hear it, and I got scared of the coin. So that would be cool. I thought about the Roadrunner, the Meep Meep. I thought that would be appropriate.
That's a good one.
The Tim Allen, the grunt, just the like somebody crossing in front of you, like get out of my way kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then the if you've ever been like Target or like toy stores and stuff, the annoying ass rubber chicken that you squeeze and it just does the like blood curdling noise. So I went with the Dumb and Dumber screech, but that one felt like right up that same.
That was
alley.
it. Yeah. I should have went with that one, with one of my first two, but I didn't think you were going to think of it.
All right. Well, I guess let us know whatever kind of subjective grading you got on that one. Post the teams and
this might have been the worst idea. This is what a terrible draft idea.
I thought it was fun.
It was.
All right.
I picked it.
Oh, did you? Oh, well, never mind. What are we doing next week? Speaking of picking.
Oh gosh, I don't know. I already closed my notes.
I've got my same two from previous: best sitcom dads, best crime movies, or I added in a new one of best pump up songs, like walk up songs or get your blood going.
Oh yeah, let's do some pump up songs.
I figured that was a safe one. So, all right, let us know your pump up song picks next week. I already know what my first pick's going to be if Tyler doesn't take it. So
nice.
We'll see how that goes. We're going to wrap this up because we've already ran a little bit long. So tune in next week. We'll be back on Tuesdays again. We had a little switch up on the schedule this week, but please comment on YouTube if you're still with us. Let us know what you liked or what segments you want to get involved on. If you have any ideas to toss out for us, any of those, like the people that commented this past week, get read on the show. So appreciate your feedback and just kind of some interaction with the show that we're trying to do for you guys and all the leagues that we're in after all. So I got nothing else. Tyler, take us home.
Yeah, appreciate all the listens and all the subs here this last month. Like I said, 4 additional in the last month when we hadn't had any for a long time. So really appreciate all the interaction and happy belated birthday, Jack. That's why we didn't record on Tuesday. So Jack is now 104, and for those that are curious, he's still just barely 30. I have a fun little running inside joke. Jack just as young as can be, but now he's got a kid. So
I'm in my 30s
now he's an old dad.
I'm not 30.
Good job.
So it's even worse.
Yes. So thanks everybody for listening. Really appreciate it. Like I said, we'll be back on Tuesday. So only a couple days, but we'll get this out as soon as we can. So should have a nice little weekend listen, but good luck in week 6, everybody. Peace out, Pod Squad.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to the Brotherly Ballers podcast. Check out more content on youtube.com/@thebrotherlyballers.